Day for people with disabilities. Today, I have a great honor to be with our great partners, Alessia Squarcella. Did I pronounce your name correctly? She's Deputy Head of Cooperation of European Union Delegation in Lebanon. Really welcome you to this venue, and thank you very much for being us. And of course, our great UN sister agency, Ruba Jaradata. She's the Regional Director of International Labour Organization. And I'm Yukie Mokuo. I'm the UNICEF representative in Lebanon. So this is a great honor to be with you today, and thank you very much. The purpose of today's gathering is to really highlight the importance of rights of children and the people with disabilities. But we also have a special occasion because here in this partnership, EU, ILO, and the UNICEF, we really come together to do something special for Lebanon. So that's what we wanted to announce. So on that note, let me first invite Alessia for her statement. Alessia, please.
Thank you, Yuki. Dear friends, colleagues, and partners, you all know that Lebanon has faced multiple crises, and the ramifications of these are continuously worsening. The Lebanese people are living in difficult conditions in their own country and have undisputably paid a huge price, but not more so than those who were already considered vulnerable before the explosion on August 4th. Tomorrow is the International Day of Persons with Disabilities. And to mark this day, the European Union has partnered up with the UNICEF and ILO to announce a new project funded by our Madad Trust Fund for improved social protection in Lebanon. With a total budget of 20 million euros, for the next 3 years, this project will launch a national disability allowance that provides income support to thousands of individuals with disabilities living in Lebanon, including elderly and children. And of course, civil society will be involved in all phases of its implementation. We count on the government of Lebanon to take on this responsibility over time and ensure that the road to recovery begins with those who need it most. Together with our partners, we want to help Lebanon build a strong, efficient, and accountable social protection system. And as a first step, we encourage Lebanon to approve the National Social Protection Strategy and adopt a budget plan for social protection. As European Union, we have the tools at our disposal to support Lebanon in improving governance and accountability and modernizing public institutions as well. And this is at the core of the Reform, Recovery, and Reconstruction Framework, or 3RF, which we launched a year ago with the UN and the World Bank. In this spirit, I reiterate our call for a strong reform agenda to overcome the current crisis. We continue to stand with the people of Lebanon at this critical juncture and are committed to safeguarding the life and future of persons with vulnerabilities, disabilities, and other forms of special needs, so that they may have a fighting chance in life. Thank you all.
Thank you, Alessia. Next, let me give a floor to Ruba Jaradata, Region Director of ILO in Arab States.
Thank you, Yuki. Is my phone working? Oh, now it's working. If you allow me to say a few words in Arabic, since the audience are mostly in Arabic. Miss Alicia Squarcella, Miss Yuki Moko, الزملاء الأعزاء، بطيب لي أنه أنضم لكم اليوم بإطلاق هذا المشروع الحيوي جدا لرفاه عدد من اللبنانيين. كلنا بنعرف يعني بمنتهى الألم أنه الأزمة الاقتصادية والاجتماعية والسياسية بلبنان بلغت مرحلة حرجة وخطيرة. بات كثيرون عاجزين عن تأمين احتياجاتهم الأساسية، مما دفعهم للوقوع في براثن الضعف والفقر. وفقا لتقديرات الإسكوا للفقر متعدد الأبعاد، تضاعف معدل الفقر في لبنان من 2019 لل 2021 من 42 ل 82% للأسف، بينما أثر الفقر المدقع على أكثر من ثلثي السكان في لبنان. الفئات الضعيفة طبعا تأثرت بشكل كبير من الأزمات المتعددة، حيث أشار المسح الأخير الذي أجرته منظمة العمل الدولية حول السمة غير المنظمة بين الفئات الضعيفة إنه إلى أكثر من 3 من 4 أفراد عاملين داخل هاي المجموعات بيعملوا بشكل غير رسمي وهم غير مغطيين بالحماية الاجتماعية أو مزايا التوظيف الأخرى. كما يتقاضى أكثر من نصف العاملين أقل من 750 ألف ليرة لبنانية، والغالبية العظمى منهم ما بيساهموا بالضمان الاجتماعي وما بيستفيدوا منه. كما أنه دراسة منظمة العمل الدولية أيضاً بتشير أنه نسبة المسنين الذين يعيشون على دخل منخفض ازدادت بنسبة 91% بين عام 2019 ل 2020. يكتسي وضع نظام للحماية الاجتماعية في لبنان أهمية بالغة في ضوء الدور الذي يطلع به القطاع في التصدي لتداعيات الأزمة المتواصلة وأيضا يعني هذه الأزمة بتؤدي لزيادة أوجه عدم المساواة الاجتماعية بالبلاد بشكل عام. الفجوات الهيكلية القائمة حاليا بنظام الحماية الاجتماعية في لبنان تخلف عدد كبير جدا من الناس دون أي شكل من الحماية الاجتماعية أو المزايا. ورغم أن جميع الفئات طبعا شعرت بهذه الأزمة، إلا أن من يعانون أكثر شيء من مخاطر مرتبطة بدورة الحياة ككبار السن والأطفال والأشخاص ذوي الإعاقة، وهم طبعا الأكثر تعرضا للخطر. وحتى قبل الأزمة يعني كان تقريبا 60% من على الأقل من الأسر المعيشية اللي بتضم على الأقل فرد من أفرادها ذا إعاقة بالنصف الأدنى من توزيع الدخل، وعليهم أيضا بالقياس للأسر المعيشية الأخرى عليهم إنفاق مبلغ إضافي بتراوح بين 30 ل 40% من متوسط دخلهم زيادة للعيش بالمستوى نفسه لباقي الأسر. هذا بحد من قدرتهم على الحصول على التعليم والتشغيل والفرص الأخرى، وبيعلقر بالتالي إدماجهم بالمجتمع. بالحقيقة يعني الغالبية العظمى منهم من ذوي الإعاقات في لبنان خارج قوة العمل. لذلك يجب أن يوضع نظام للحماية الاجتماعية بلبنان بين أولويات السياسات لتقديم إعانة فورية إلى الآلاف الأفراد الضعفاء مع تمهيد السبيل في نفس الوقت للتعافي. منظمة العمل الدولية بتسعى من خلال هذا التعاون الجديد مع اليونيسف والدعم السخي الذي قدمه الاتحاد الأوروبي لبناء نظام للحماية الاجتماعية بيوفر أمن للدخل للجميع بلبنان، فضلا عن أنه طرح منحة الإعاقة الوطنية يؤمن إعانة فورية لآلاف الأشخاص ذوي. بالمشروع يؤسس نظام للمساعدات الاجتماعية مستدام وطويل الأجل، ويسعى أيضا إلى تعزيز نظام الحماية الاجتماعية بشكل عام للجميع. علاوة إلى ذلك سنواصل تقديم المساعدة الفنية لحكومة لبنان لتتبنى استراتيجية وطنية للحماية الاجتماعية، والبرنامج يتضمن أيضا إنجاز هذا العمل عن طريق الحوار والمشاركة النشطة للجهات الفاعلة الحكومية وغير الحكومية، ومن بينهم شركائنا الاجتماعيين وهم العمال وأصحاب العمل في الدولة اللبنانية. بالختام بود أغتنم هاي الفرصة لأشكر شقيقتنا اليونيسف على تعاونهم المتواصل والقيم، سواء في قيادة الدعم المقدم إلى حكومة لبنان والجهات الوطنية بوضع الاستراتيجية الوطنية للحماية الاجتماعية، أو في مجالات تعاون أخرى أيضا في لبنان وأيضا بعدد من الدول في المنطقة العربية. وأتقدم بخالص شكري للاتحاد الأوروبي أيضا على دعمه السخي اللي أتاح لنا إنجاز تنفيذ هذه المشاريع لتأمين العمل اللائق والعدالة الاجتماعية للجميع بمنطقتنا العربية وخارجها. شكرا جزيلا لاهتمامكم وشكرا لوجودكم معنا اليوم. شكرا. Back to you, Yoki.
Thank you, Ruba, indeed. So now let me address a few of the issues from myself. Well, indeed, tomorrow is International Day of People with Disabilities. But not only tomorrow. I think we have our own obligation to recognize rights of people and the children with disabilities. But I would like to speak, what does it mean in today's Lebanon? I was here not long ago by speaking to a journalist from media about the situation of children in Lebanon and how critical nowadays, day-to-day basis, how much suffering happening with children. So we presented very worrying results of our rapid assessment. But today, I would like to highlight more, particularly about children and the people with disability. So livelihood has been so much devastated by the current crisis in Lebanon. And the families still really struggle to make the ends meet. But it's even more challenging when your child or a family member has any kind of disability. With a disability, your cost of living is estimated to be around 35 to 40% higher than for someone without a disability, and you are significantly less likely to be able to find employment, as Ruba has also addressed. So people with disability have higher chances to be unemployed, and as a result, people and the children with a disability are more likely to live in poverty and significantly more vulnerable. And the poverty here is not only about the income poverty, but also access to any basic services. At the same time, we are also very aware the support in place for people in Lebanon, especially when we refer as a social protection system. Unfortunately, Lebanon still lacks comprehensive social protection system, which is a very important support basis for especially people with disability. And this lack of a comprehensive social protection system provides many gaps in terms of service provision to any vulnerable families, and including people with disability. While, as we speak, the need for social protection for people with disabilities is even greater, when we talk about targeting people with disability, we need to think about what are the concrete measures we can really work together. Recently, I had the great honor to be at the Grand Serai with Ruba and with our UN region coordinator, Nashat Rojdi, presenting our proposal to Prime Minister and the cabinet members about a national social protection strategy. We are very glad that now government has formed a technical committee to review our proposal of a national social protection strategy. And we do indeed, with the thorough review and then comment from the government, such a strategy to be endorsed by the government, at least that will lead to the policy framework of national social protection system, which we don't have it yet. One of the most crucial priorities right now within this strategy is to expand the coverage of social assistance in Lebanon. As we speak, we are very much aware that the government is now starting to introduce the registration in the impact platform for this emergency social safety net program. We are aware that the government is willing to start this ration card system. But these are the schemes which are particularly meant for income poverty. As a part of this slide shows here, Lebanon does not have national child grant. Lebanon does not have disability allowance. So these are the very typical social protection system instrument which most of the countries in the world have. We need to create such a scheme also in Lebanon. So now I would like to elaborate a bit more that how we create this expansion of social assistance. We need to look beyond emergency and the temporary program. Emergency social safety net is important. Ration card program is important, but these are temporary measures which is installed at this particular time of the crisis. In parallel, in this partnership, we have aimed to create sustainable solution in the social protection system in Lebanon, which should be really institutionalized as a government scheme. So the first, the gradual ongoing expansion of the governmental poverty program is the National Poverty Targeted Program, Mptp, which is designed to reach only those households by living in extreme poverty. So Mptp is targeting people who really have a low income. But we must go beyond, because again, poverty is not only about income poverty. This is a very limited group who benefits from this peak. So let's think about if you struggle how to raise your children, if you have many children in the household. What if you are somebody who is living with disabilities, especially with a severe disability? Or if you are more than 80 years old, very elderly, without any support. It's a human right to have access to social assistance with those particular vulnerability, either having many children in household, either having a disability, being elderly. These are the very, very conventional social protection scheme. These are the vulnerabilities that the people are entitled to be supported by the National Social Protection Scheme. So this is a comprehensive social protection scheme which we are talking about, but it's not only. Comprehensive social protection scheme has to be also complemented by social services, social work services, for instance, access to health, education services as a basic right. As Ruba was pointing out, labor protection. People need to be well protected to have access to employment. But then National Security, Social Security Fund, which is a contributory fund, but also protects your employment and your social status. So once you have those schemes in place, then people with such vulnerabilities can be protected more. But it has to be sustainably placed in the national system. So this is the aim of this partnership today, 3 institutions together speaking to you about the importance of comprehensive national social protection scheme. Let's talk about those systems in other countries. If you look at the social protection system in any of those countries, including the neighbor countries, it's very typical that allowance for people with disability exists. Child grant may exist, or elderly people have a special pension. Lebanon and the people in Lebanon deserve to have those systems in place, and it's a human right. It's an entitlement of those people with the vulnerabilities to have access to such assistance. So this is why we are here to bring about change. Again, I'm sorry to repeat, Lebanon does not have this system yet, but there is opportunity to create such a system. In UNICEF, this is the reason why we launched National Child Grant Program, which is already happening. The program is called HADI. This means next to me in Arabic. Back in June this year, we launched this program. Now we are reaching almost 100,000 vulnerable Lebanese, Syrian, and Palestinian children, regardless their nationalities. Vulnerable children are entitled to access to this particular child grant. Again, the child grant is different from grant given to the people with low income. Child grant is meant for children to be able to access to schools, to be able to be wearing the warm clothing in the winter, properly nourish the young children. Family, global research shows that when family has access to child grant, families spend those money for children. And we know, and the children need those grants. And we are very happy with the partners who are working with us on this. I was in Becker yesterday. We met many civil society partners. Many voiced this HADI program is really bringing a meaningful result to protect the vulnerable families. And then today, now coming to the most important subject of today, so we are signing this agreement with the European Union. We are very grateful for European Union's commitment, joint program ILO and the UNICEF, to support Lebanon with the start of disability allowance. So as I have explained to you, this is a very important instrument as a part of a comprehensive national social protection scheme. And this national disability allowance, we would like such a program to be launched in early 2022. Therefore, we are today to kind of pre-discuss to announce this agreement. We are happy European Union is, I think, a champion donor institution. Why? Because we try to explain to you what the social protection means, but it's not easy to understand. If you have emergency social safety net, then why do you have another child grant or disability allowance? Why do you need to protect the labor? You can ask any questions, but I think European Union, you are the very first and champion donor institution because you support Mptp. It's a poverty targeted program. Now European Union has come to agree to support us to do the disability allowance. And then together we are working on this comprehensive strategy. So as you name, this is a very complex agenda to understand, and we do like any donor governments to understand better. And I would like to thank European Union for this matter because you are the champion donor who understand and who support us. And in this UN partnership, we are not alone. Of course, we work as a UN system, and this joint programming, ILO and UNICEF, we really put our brain together to support the government on this strategy. So this is a beautiful example of multi-institutional partnership. So I really thank you for that. And this is, I cannot highlight and thank more. This is very meaningful. So this allowance, National Disability Allowance, this will aim to reduce the vulnerability of families with members who have disabilities, and they support their access to basic services, compensates for the lost income and the higher cost of living because of their disabilities. Of course, we are working very closely with the government. As I said, that we presented a strategy proposal to the Prime Minister, but particularly with the Ministry of Social Affairs for the launch of such allowance program. We also work with civil society organizations, especially representing people with disabilities, to make this program as a reality. We will be able to share all the details of this program early next year, together with the Ministry of Social Affairs. So this is our plan. So today, Lebanon is really hitting rock bottom. I'm sorry to say this, but this is the reality of Lebanon. But we need to work together by putting together all those key stakeholders. We call for the establishment of social grants in Lebanon, along within that the framework of comprehensive national social protection strategy, to support vulnerable households, such as those living with disabilities, so as to change the course of the country's future recovery. So on this note, I'd like to thank you for being with us today, and really, Ruba, Alisa, thank you for this wonderful partnership. So now the floor is open for any questions. Thank you. You can be in Arabic because we have an excellent Arabic speaker with us also, but also we have a translation in place.
أنا بدي أطرح صراحة مجموعة أسئلة على الحاضرين. بداية
So from legal agenda, he will be asking many questions.
Okay. Is this working?
No, it's not.
Here. Okay. Okay.
بالنسبة للتمويل، جهة التمويل الاتحاد الأوروبي حكينا عن $20 مليون راح يغطوا تقريبا 20,000 إنسان أو مستقبل.
So from the funding perspective, we are talking about around $20 million covering around 20,000 beneficiaries.
عم نحكي هنا بمعدل $1,000 عم تحكوا على سنتين المشروع راح يكون.
So is it $1,000 per person over 2 years? Is that the equation?
آلية التوزيع كيف راح تكون؟ وهل راح تكون من خلال الحكومة اللبنانية أو من خلال الجهات بتوثق فيها الجهات الدولية؟ لأنه نتذكر إنه على طول كانوا يحكوا عن عدم ثقة بالحكومة اللبنانية لأنه لا تتمتع أو لا تستخدم معايير الشفافية والحق الصحيح.
So he's asking about the $20 million for around 20,000 beneficiaries. Is it the equation is $1,000 per person over 2 years? So this is the first question. And second, how this would be distributed? Is it through the Ministry of Social Affairs, or I know you mentioned that we wanted previously the talks that we need to work with entities that have they are trusted entities with that. So هذا السؤال for the EU, please.
Okay. So for the funding, it would be great if all the funding could go directly to the beneficiaries. Unfortunately, someone has to manage the money. So that's a very short question. So I don't know the exact amount. I don't know if it might still be devised, but no, unfortunately, it's not that easy. So there are management costs that, of course, have to be taken into account. But so maybe the colleagues can give more precise data on the allowances. Yeah, you can go.
Well, actually, this new national disability allowance, our aim is to build as a national system. It's not the emergency assistance of international community. Therefore, all these details of design will be done by Ministry of Social Affairs. And it has to be the government to answer your question. How much money goes to these beneficiaries? How that's going to be distributed? We are now going to help technically for the government to scheme it. Today is the announcement of our partnership. We are ready to help government to do that. I hope by early next year, this will be all fully designed, endorsed by the government, so that the government can announce. But the importance of here is that, yes, it's very important every person with disability to have access to this grant, but not only. Government institutionally take this up so that this is the part of the governmental program which is going to stay in Lebanon as a system for the future. So this is a process which we are still working.
بدك بدك نترجم ولا مشي الحال؟ لا أنا ما بدي أترجم بس خليني أضيف شغلة. I mean, let me say it in English so you understand.
Okay.
بدك نرجع نترجم لك بالعربي؟ بدك بالعربي؟ طيب okay, then I will, he
you can
prefers
say
that I say in Arabic
fine,
and then you can
fine in
translate.
Arabic.
Okay, I'll just add one thing. So as Yushi said, all the details of this program will be, agreed upon, soon, hopefully beginning of next year. But there will be, as UN organizations and particularly UNICEF, will make sure that there is a transparent criteria for selection and dissemination of the grants, along with the Ministry of Social Affairs. So I just wanted to highlight this aspect.
Absolutely.
مس يوكي هيدا بعرف انه اليونيسف بيشتغلوا كمان مع وزاره التربيه والمؤسسات الاخرى لتقديم مساعدات للاطفال، خاصه بعد انفجار بيروت كان عندكم عده مساهمات. السؤال اللي بيطرحه انا هون بيتعلق بالتقديمات، هل ستكون محصوره بالاشخاص الافراد ام انه كمان رح تكون يعني تحظى بدعم المدارس اللي بتأمن دمج ذوي الاحتياجات الخاصه والمنتشره بكل لبنان، واللي كانت وزاره التربيه عم تشكي انه وعم تعاني من استمراريتها وربما اضطروا احيانا لاقفال بعدها ببعض المناطق لانه ما في التمويل.
So the question that if this allowance is only for people or go to institutions. Yeah? Well, the scheme itself is about the individual social cash assistance, people with disability, as a national scheme. As Ruba has said, this is going to be worked out in the detailed design with a criteria, who receive, how to receive, and everything. We recognize that support to institutions, of course, important. However, there is a very critical issue here. From children's rights perspective, we would prefer to support families who have children with disabilities to raise children in the family instead of sending children to institutions, because family needs to be supported first. Any children with disability or without a disability has a right to grow up in a family environment. That's the best environment in the family. We do recognize that the institutions are suffering. We will continue the discussion with the Ministry of Social Affairs, how critical to really meet the basic needs. However, from the reform perspective, we would like to reform those institutions to become daycare centers, not as a residential institutions. That's the position of UNICEF, and that's what we would like to promote. It's a long way going, but we would like to really protect best interest of children first, which is the family environment, so that family gets supported to raise those children with disabilities.
بالنسبه للمساعده الطارئه اللي عم
Sorry. Okay.
حكيتوا عن مساعده طارئه، يعني ظرفيه وطارئه اذا بدي حدد، بس هيدي المساعده الظرفيه والطارئه ما بتعتقدي انه ربما جاءت متاخرا؟ لانه الاشخاص ذوي الاحتياجات الخاصه بلبنان معاناتهم مش جديده، يعني من 2000 اقروا لهم قانون، وهذا القانون بنص على بعض التقديمات، ولكن لم يحظوا باي امتيازات او اي شكل من اشكال التمييز الايجابي، يعني ما حصلوا على الفرص بالصحه بالتعليم بالعمل تحديدا، يعني لم يحظون باي امتيازات او باي وسائل يعني لدعمهم وتمكينهم بالمجتمع. ما بتعتقدوا خطوتكم هي شوي جاءت متاخره؟
Thank you. Very important question. So that's why we are here today. You're absolutely right. We talk about crisis. How many times have you heard about people and children with disabilities? Very, very rare. So we really need to highlight not only because tomorrow is the day of people with disabilities, it has been every day. As I spoke, people with disabilities, children with disabilities, less access to employment, less access to services, health, education. There are many, many children with disabilities not learning. Yeah? So thank you for the question. We need to talk about their vulnerabilities because their vulnerabilities are higher than anybody else. So this is a recognition we need to give. Therefore, we are here first to raise your awareness, and thank you for the journalist colleagues. Please disseminate this message. But secondly, to provide the services to those vulnerable people, we really need to work together. There is no single solution. UNICEF or ILO or EU, we alone cannot solve. That's why we work with government. We would like Lebanon to have a system which can really improve and enhance that services to everybody, particularly those who are more vulnerable. So solution is not here with us yet, but the hope is that in this partnership, it's a one small step. And with this step, we would like to go more and more. To do that, we need more resources, we need a governmental commitment, we need a civil society to be very active. So this is the call which we are making today. Thank you.
I would like to ask you, what are the technical assistance that you are providing the government? ما هي المساعدات التقنية التي تقدمونها للدولة اللبنانية؟
Maybe I start, or would you like to answer in Arabic?
No, actually, let me just add to what Yuki said. Answer your question, and then I will come to your question as well. As I said in my remarks, you have a translation. Okay, you highlighted that correctly, that even before the crisis, and your question was, are we late in providing assistance to people with disability? I mean, definitely, before the crisis, as I said, 60% of families with, one person or one member of disability were, in the vulnerable groups or in the category where they need they needed support. But there is a dire need now to support them because of the crisis, because the impact of the crisis on these categories are maximized much more than the rest of the population. That's why we saw the importance of starting this initiative and project at this critical time with the generous support of the EU. We and UNICEF, we wouldn't have been able to do this without the generous support of the EU. And we hope, even like if we see 20,000 recipients, we don't think that this is enough. We need more, and we hopefully we will get, there will be more support in the future to, to cover more than just the 20,000 beneficiaries. Now, going back to your question, also Yuki has highlighted that it is not, this is just one part of the puzzle. We are working with the government on providing advice on a national social protection strategy, which, as Yuki highlighted, that we presented to the Prime Minister and his team recently. And we will help them in the implementation, hopefully. There are a number of puzzles also where technical assistance is needed in terms of policy. And the most important is to establish systems. And there is short-term assistance that, the emergency assistance that is much needed now, but with the longer-term vision for long-term. So we need to establish systems. Unfortunately, this is, and also from our experience in the region, the countries who had proper social protection systems were able to respond to COVID crisis, for example, while countries who did not have the systems were suffering, including Lebanon, unfortunately. It didn't have the system. And it's not, you know, I wish it's only the COVID. COVID is just a footnote in the multiple crises that the country is suffering. So we're trying to do both, establishing the structures and the systems for the long term to make sure that it reaches the people who need it in a transparent way, and you know, hopefully you know, on an equal basis. But at the same time, to see what, you know, immediate assistance we can help achieve in the long term, in the short term. Sorry.
Thank you, Ruba. Just quickly add to this point. Well, our technical assistance is really to make sure that this new idea of national disability allowance to be properly administered, meaning, as Ruba has already said, it has to be a criteria, there has to be a system of disbursement, who receives 20 million is a lot, but not enough for everything. So this requires a very in-depth technical consultation and the design, and we are here together with ILO to really put all the brain together, but at the international standard, because there are very concrete international guidelines which can guide us. So that's our contribution to the government. But not only for this allowance program. As we say, the strategy itself already has gone through past few years of a series of consultations with the technical expertise which we provided from UNICEF and ILO and the other many important specialists, including Lebanese specialists. So this is the way we work on the technical assistance to make sure that anything is transparent and effectively administered.
On this point, if I may, I wanted to add that from the EU side, indeed, we're very much involved in this sector, but not only, of course, on this very kind of niche area of vulnerable people and people with disabilities, but in the social assistance spectrum at large. And on top of working on this, and indeed trying to build a proper system like it's in Europe, which in fact this may be the only thing that unites us in the EU that we all have in common, is to enable the government indeed to then walk on its own feet. Because of course we have projects, but the projects end. And then indeed this technical assistance, the assistance to the government in general, but particularly to the Ministry of Social Affairs, is to have this system embedded. At the same time, we also work on the other side, let's say, of the mirror. Of course, people need to be provided with tools to stand on their feet. So we work a lot on livelihoods, on job creation, also with vulnerable people, so that this social safety net system that we hope will be built in the near future is only directed basically to those who really need, and that majority of the population can actually just rely on itself. And on this, we also focus a lot on enabling a dialogue between the government and civil society. Because of course, we as international community, we can put a weight and we can push and lobby for reforms, but civil society in Lebanon, the national, local actors in Lebanon as in any other country, they are the actors that can hold the government accountable. It can be us. So that's really a big focus of the 3RF in general, but also working in this sector in particular.
Thank you. So I would like to thank you, everybody. Good questions and your participation. So we stand ready, and then my colleagues can give you any of the reports and information if there are any more follow-up questions. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry. Are we supposed to do something? Oh, okay.
The signing.
For the signing.
Okay. So we're going to sign together. Yes. Sorry, I was not properly paying attention, but it's an important moment.
Just a photo of, yeah.
Okay.
The last page.
So. Blanche, how do you want to do the photograph? We first sign and then.
And I will take a picture.
And then.
And I will just take a picture.
Okay.
And then extend.
Okay, today
So we sign here.
The second.
Second.
need the other pen. There is the second. Okay. Oh, signature here. Oops.
It's okay, just for the book.
Yes. I was so inattentive. Okay. So we can do like this.
Exchange.
Yes, exchange. Maybe we can stand and then pose. Yeah. This is supposed to be for this is supposed to be for Ruba, like this, right? Or maybe okay.
So now I'm
Okay.
confused. Which one
Yeah,
did
I think this
not
is.
sign?
Yeah, I think this is the one who should be signed.
Oh,
yes.
wow, by coincidence.
Perfect.
Actually, I wouldn't claim we did it professionally.
Okay. Okay.
Keep it.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much. Thank you.
Thank
So
you, Yoki.
back to you.
Thank you, Alicia.
Yeah, thank you, and very nice meeting you.
Finally.
again. Thank you. So Blanche, David is here. I need to go now. Yeah. One quick interview. Yes, I have something. Okay, fine. Very quickly. Yeah. Thank you. We'll be in touch. Yes, my best regards to Rain, by the way. Yeah, he's here or he's not in the country?
So the director, our director for Brussels came today, last minute mission, and so he's taking her.
Yes, of course.
When are you leaving exactly?
I'm here until